I the a-hole for telling my parents I would not care for my obese brother? When my little brother Teddy was born, his umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck. According to my mom, he wasn't breathing for at least 3 minutes. Since then, my parents often used that as an excuse for Teddy's behavior. My childhood became a living hell with Teddy. Give Teddy your candy, he died coming into this world. Let him play with your friends, he died coming to this world. Let him open your presents, Teddy almost didn't have a birthday. I had to put up with Teddy's tantrums, mistreatment, fits, and bad behavior. If I touched a single hair on his head, I got punished, while Teddy got away with whatever he did. It became so bad that when I was 15, I moved out the house to live with family members away from Teddy, and my contact with my parents and Teddy's limited. Currently, I'm 35 and Teddy's 26. When he was 18, he decided he wanted to be a competitive eater, which turned into just eating. And now Teddy weighs almost 600 pounds. Because of his weight, he can't hold a job and lives with our parents, who still cater to him and pay for everything. Since Teddy requires round-the-clock care, my parents hardly leave the house. They weren't present at my wedding, only see the grandkids if I bring them around, and all family events like dinners have to be held at their house because it's hard to move Teddy. A few days ago, Teddy suffered a bad fall that put him in the hospital. My husband and I at least came to see him. My parents complained that the hospital wasn't feeding him enough, didn't have a wheelchair big enough for him, and naturally they didn't want to hear anything about his weight. It would be easier to turn water into gold. To make long story short, my parents pulled my husband and I aside and asked large amounts of money for Teddy's care. They said that they didn't have money to keep caring for him, and were having to dip into their retirement funds. They even suggested that once Teddy's cleared to go home, he moved in with us because my husband and I are well off with a bigger house, and so we can get a break because we have to care for him all year round while you just visit. I said no. My husband told them hell no. We both work full-time, and our kids are enrolled in sports and dance. We made it clear that Teddy would not be moving in with us, nor we would be moving our schedule around to deal with him, or giving them the money even though we could afford it. But he is your brother. You almost didn't have a brother. We left the hospital. My mom later called me, berating me for abandoning the family and Teddy, and demanding money. I told her I would not care for Teddy under any circumstances. Even if something happened to her and my dad, I would not care for my brother. It is her problem, not mine. My mom cursed me out over the phone and hung up. I do feel a little bad because Teddy's my brother, but it made my life hell, and my parents refused to take any responsibility for his behavior. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He can't hold a job and lives with our parents who still cater to him and pay for everything. They enabled him to get to 600 pounds. He's not much longer for this world. These are based on his decisions, which we're not responsible for. They need serious family therapy to see how their behavior is leading to the death of their son. They can't just help him get close to death, then pawn the problem off on someone else. They aren't going to have Teddy around for long if he stays at 600 pounds. They are killing their own kid with food. The parents will most likely outlive Teddy. Plus, it's like every 600-plus pound live TV show ever, Teddy physically cannot maintain his weight with his little flying monkeys. This is totally on the parents. The OP will get blamed for his early death too. Not the a-hole. I feel bad for you and Teddy. You were both failed by your parents. Right? There's 9 years between the two. That means it was a 6-year-old that was so horrible their 15-year-old sibling had to move out. And that wasn't a wake-up call? That's what stuck out to me too. They created such a monster of a child in only 6 years that they ran off their 15-year-old. Absolute insanity. And yet, even with this recent interaction at the hospital, the mom is still trying to use the fact that Teddy almost died at birth as a manipulation tool. I feel so bad for OP. And Teddy too. He never had a chance. Not the a-hole. What the heck is wrong with your parents? They're helping that umbilical cord finish the job. Next story. Am I the a-hole for having another child after giving my first up for adoption? When I was 17, I got pregnant with my first child. I was in a very unstable, toxic environment. Was to be a single mother. I had no family support. I was told to get an abortion by close members, but I didn't. I thought I could handle being a mom. I was wrong. I struggled hard with everything from work to childcare to bonding, and it felt like I was causing my baby to suffer along with me. I had PPD, the severe anger portion, and didn't know it. I was drowning and failing at every turn I took. So when my baby was 3 months, I decided to let her dad's aunt and uncle legally adopt her. They've never shut me out. But I was beyond guilty and disgusted with myself that I have minimal interaction with my baby. I felt she was better off without me. Fast forward 10 years. By some miracle, I have found the love of my life, and we're doing well. We've discussed my baby and the effects it had on me over the years. He's always wanted a kid, but I've been hesitant because I vividly remember failing so miserably. He's assured me everything will be fine. Still, it scares me, so I've stayed on birth control, and sometimes as extra precaution, we'll use rubbers. A couple of months ago, I missed my period. Didn't think much of it, but took a test anyway. I usually do I feel anything is off. Lo and behold, I'm pregnant. My husband is ecstatic while I'm freaking out. He tells me my circumstances are different, that I've grown as a person, so things would be okay if I had another child. When we told our families, his side was happy, but mine freaked out. They told me I was already a horrible mom. Why on earth would I have another kid to be horrible too? That I would do nothing but cause pain and eventually give this one up too. I feel terrible about having another kid because I'm terrified it'll be the same and I'll fold again. Plus, how am I gonna explain to this kid they have a sibling mommy couldn't take care of? I don't know what to do. Am I the a-hole for having this kid? Not the a-hole. Who you were as a single mom at 17 is not who you are at 27 with a partner. Don't let your family, who didn't support you at 17, drag you down. Being a parent is overwhelming, but you are different. That said, don't let your husband talk you into a kid you don't want. If you want a kid, now and with him, go for it. Not the a-hole, but your family, all of them saying anything, are. You're a teenager, having a child, alone with PPD. I was mid-20s, married with an awesome support system, and barely made it through because of PPD. My husband and his family got me through, along with therapy. You didn't fail as a mother, you didn't fail your first child. You did what you have to do to save your own life and your child's. You saved both of you. Not to cause a freak out, but ever hear those horrible news stories where mom drives her and kids off the bridge in a family minivan? PPD. While it's not always that serious, it easily can be. 1. Relax. Take a deep breath. Steady yourself and make a plan now. 2. Your family has got to go. They didn't support you then. They're not supporting you now. No contact, at minimum for the duration of pregnancy and a good chunk, if not all, of baby's first year. That will be the hardest for you. You do not need any outside negativity at this time. Not one little bit. The time right now is for you to focus on you and your child only. 3. Treatment and therapy is necessary. You've already had PPD. Don't wait for it to happen again. Start now. Take it very seriously. It will help immensely. For your husband and his family, lean on them and lean on them hard. They're there for you, so use that to your advantage. You are not alone. You have them. Talk with your husband, let him know about the PPD then, how serious it can become, and let him know you're afraid and in need of help. Possibly set up something with his family with alternating weeks between people to assist when you become later term and for a while after the baby is born. PPD can last a long time, 3 to 24 months after the baby is born. Even if it's just lunch dates with someone, anything with help. All the positive support you can get, suck that up. 5. Your first child. How do I explain to this kid they have a sibling mommy couldn't take care of? Easily tell the truth, age appropriate of course. There is zero reason your first child should be kept a secret. You don't need to take out an advertisement or anything about it. But if asked when they're young, just say, "Mommy was too young. I didn't know daddy then and was unable to care for a baby by myself then." If they do not ask, do not tell them. Let them know they have a half-sibling, and let them know why. It could also be a great opening for a talk with a teen. Teenage pregnancy is so very hard to go through. Mommy was not able to. I learned the hard way to use protection always. 6. You got this. Edit 1. I want to I can't express just how humbly, and sincerely thank everyone for their advice. I'm in tears reading those responses because other than my husband, who is the sweetest, most supportive person I've ever met, I've never had anyone tell me it wasn't wrong to go to the adoption route. I will be turning to therapy to try to help with these feelings and doubts. I will also be cutting off my family. They've contributed to a lot of my issues in life, and I will not allow that energy around this new baby. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not calling out my son for treating my daughter badly? I have 2 kids, a son Ben, 44, and a daughter Emma, 42, female. Their father and I divorced when they were young. He wasn't a good husband, but he isn't a bad man. He is wealthy. He didn't bond with Emma, but he favored Ben, and it became overt as they grew up. Ben was easier than Emma and did well in school and sports. Emma, although smart, wasn't interested in school and was rebellious as a teenager. Their father spoiled Ben, and if I'm honest, he wasn't nice to Emma. This upset her and she would cry, feeling unfairly treated. I felt bad, but I couldn't do anything about it, so felt it better to pretend it wasn't happening and hope it got better. It didn't. He wanted nothing to do with her, although there wasn't a reason why. Emma struggled to cope with this, and I think expected me to stand up for her. But I hate confrontation, and her father never listens to me anyway. I preferred not to discuss it with Emma and focus on other things, but she said I didn't allow her to be upset and didn't validate her. I didn't want to potentially cause a bigger rift and cause Ben to side with his father. Ben, on the other hand, was lavished with anything he wanted. Money, cars. He was expected to be successful like his father. As adults, the relationship between Ben and Emma fizzled out, which was sad because I couldn't do anything about it. Despite being given a large amount of wealth and more opportunities than most, Ben hasn't become successful, and he's quite resentful about it. His father stopped giving him money a few years ago, and he partially blames me because I told his father that he had given him too much. Despite being an easy child, Ben has grown up to be rather difficult. He has a temper and is very sensitive about his lack of career success, so we aren't allowed to talk about it. Emma's a stay-at-home mom. She's a good mom and her children's father earns a lot of money. Her father was regretful, so he reconnected with her. They have a relationship now. It's quite superficial, but I think it healed the wound a bit for Emma, so she reached out to Ben. They got along well for a couple years, but Ben stopped speaking to Emma. Emma was upset, and think it's because Ben doesn't like their father's interest in her. Ben hasn't given her an explanation, but he told me a silly reason that doesn't make sense. I told Emma I think Ben has behaved very badly. She asked me if I told him that. I said no, and she shouted at me that I have never stuck up for her or protected her. And if I can't do it this one time, she doesn't want a relationship with me. That I enable this behavior at her expense, and she's sick and tired of it. The thing is, Emma has 3 kids, and Ben has 1 kid. Emma will still allow me to have a good relationship with her kids, but Ben has made it difficult for me to see his kid in the past when he's angry, so I'm afraid he will do that again and stop speaking to me. I also don't want to be forced to be in the middle of them, so I won't do it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the judgment. You're the a-hole, and so weak. I feel for Emma. Absolutely spineless. That was my first reaction reading this. How can you be so spineless? Opie, you're the a-hole. Those are your kids. You're supposed to protect them and support them. And all you did was let them both down. Shame on you. Because as long as Emma was the target of her father and brother's mistreatment, then Opie wasn't. What an absolute awful human being. Because I refuse to even call her a mother. You're the a-hole for being a total failure as a mother to your daughter. You allowed this behavior by not sticking up for her. So what if you hate confrontation? Does that give you a right to emotionally abandon your daughter and be a silent accomplice to her torment? You are terrible. And if I were her, I'd never speak to you again, since you just want to suck up to your son for the sake of being grandma. I hope Emma cuts you all out of her life. You've all failed her. Exactly this. You're the a-hole OP, and you have failed both of your children for your own comfort. Pretty soon, both of them will go no contact with you, and you won't have to worry about any of it. I felt bad but couldn't do anything about it, so I thought it'd be better to pretend nothing was happening. You failed your kids. You failed them by letting them be treated so wrongly. Parents like you why adult kids go no contact. Shame on you. Yes, that makes no sense. Even if she couldn't change the way the father was being, talking to her daughter, giving her more emotional support, etc., would have been useful. Instead, she just acted like nothing was happening. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for saying that someone old enough for social media is old enough to know Santa does not exist? The other day in Facebook, I made a post about how it's my first Christmas as grandma this year, and I'm excited to play Santa again as my son and his girlfriend live with me, so I'll be helping them assemble toys, wrap gifts, etc. They asked me to. My nephew is 12 years old and has a Facebook account, and had added me as a friend a while ago. He never posts, so I forgot we were even friends. A few hours later, I get a text from my sister saying I ruined Christmas, and why did I have to post about Santa? I was confused, and she said her son still believed in Santa until he read my post. She demanded I apologize to him and tell him I was joking. I told her no. This isn't a 5-year-old who accidentally overheard, and even then I don't know if I'd feel comfortable lying. He is almost a teenager, who honestly should have known by now. If he is old enough for a Facebook account, he is old enough to know Santa doesn't exist. This has caused a bit of controversy, but I do feel bad that I ruined magic for my nephew. Am I the a-hole? There is no way a 12-year-old these days still believes in Santa. Your sister is deluding herself about that. You didn't ruin anything. She's in denial that her baby is growing up. Not the a-hole. Homeschooled, maybe? It's not hard at all to believe a kid with an overprotective mother wouldn't know about Santa. My kids are 8 and 10, and are homeschooled and know Santa's not real. I have friends with school children who believe at 12. These are parents who let them watch what I frankly feel is inappropriate things, and they still believed. However, if your child is on social media and shouldn't be till 13, then you need to be prepared for adult things. Not the a-hole, OP. Not the a-hole, and yes, if she's still protecting his belief that Santa's real, he's clearly not mature enough to have an online social media profile. No, Mom is clearly not mature enough, being angry that her 12-year-old son found out about Santa. It's not the kid's fault that he has a dumb, overprotective mother. It's nice when preteens maintain some innocence, but if he is on the internet and social media, then how have they kept it from him for so long? I feel like they've used Santa to keep him in line and as a discipline tactic. Also, I think Santa is toxic AF, and I'm still not sure my young children are going to be brought up on him. I know what you mean about toxic. We do care to never refer to naughty/nice, hold presents hostage or base gifts on behavior. We also refuted some of the weird songs about him watching you all the time to determine if you are good or bad, because that's just plain weird. I think you can keep the tradition and the fun without weaponizing it.
Update. Am I the a-hole for considering calling off my wedding because my fiancé refuses to sign a prenup after I found out she has a massive credit card debt? Original post. I am just a middle-aged man supposed to be getting married in a few months to my fiancé. We've been together for 3 years, engaged for 1, and for most of that time, I genuinely believed we were on the same page about life values and, most importantly, honesty. For background, I've worked hard to build a stable financial foundation. I'm not wealthy, but I own my home outright, have no personal debt, and I've been saving and investing since my early 20s. It's been a priority for me, especially since my parents went through a nasty divorce that ruined both of them financially. Months ago, while we were discussing wedding costs, I brought up a prenup. Not in a cold or controlling way, I just wanted to protect the life I've worked hard to build. I was upfront that I'd still be fair, and the agreement wouldn't leave her with nothing. I expected an adult conversation. Instead, she immediately got defensive. She said things like, "So you're already planning for a divorce?" And "I thought we trusted each other." I tried to explain it wasn't about trust. It was about transparency and mutual protection. But she shut it down completely. That's when red flags started popping up. She became evasive every time money came up, and I started noticing weird things. Credit card offers in the mail, a few missed payments on shared expenses she said she'd cover, and lots of "I'll handle it later" energy. So I asked directly if she had debt. She admitted it, $92,000 in credit card debt. Not student loans, not a mortgage. Credit cards. She said it accumulated over the years from unexpected expenses and a few dumb splurges. But she never told me about any of it until I forced the issue. I was stunned. We're about to merge lives. This woman was about to legally become my spouse, and she didn't think I deserved to know she was 6 figures in the red? I told her this made the prenup non-negotiable for me. I need to protect myself, not just emotionally, but financially. I told her I was willing to still move forward, but not without something in writing that protects my premarital assets. She lost it, called me selfish, said I was turning love into a business deal, said my house and money should be hers too, if we're truly a team. Since then, she's refused to talk about the prenup again, and we're barely speaking. Even her mother called me and accused me of humiliating her daughter and being materialistic. All I want is to not be liable for debt I didn't create, and to make sure the life I built before this relationship is protected. So now I'm seriously reconsidering the whole wedding. Not because she has debt, but because she hid it, then refused to take responsibility, and now is treating me like the bad guy for trying to protect myself. I'm almost certain that she could pay her debt since she is a partner in her friend's business, but she just refuses to. Am I the a-hole for thinking about walking away? Now for the top comments before reading the update. $92,000 in credit card debt. Not student loans, not a mortgage, credit cards. $5,000 or $10,000 is a few dumb splurges. I can't begin to fathom $92,000 in credit card debt. Not the a-hole. You're dodging a bullet. She will destroy you. Not the a-hole. You're definitely doing the right thing. It is a huge red flag, and credit card debt meant it could get even up if she spends money all the time she doesn't have. And the thing is, she has the ability to pay all of these since she's earning passively from her friend's venture. I don't know where her income went. If she was hiding this from you, she likely was hiding more things, and that includes where the money went. Now for the update. So I wasn't planning to come back, but a lot of people messaged me, and honestly, it's been a hell of a few days. Figured I'd give an update. So yeah, the wedding is officially off. After I posted, I tried one more time to talk to my fiancé, well, ex now. I told her I wasn't trying to be cold or controlling, I just needed to protect myself. I also said that if the roles were reversed, I'd completely understand if she wanted to do the same. I told her I could still move forward with a wedding if we signed a fair prenup. One that clearly said her debt is hers, and my home or savings are mine if things go bad. I also said I'd go to therapy or counseling with her if this felt like a deeper trust issue. She didn't take it well, said again that the prenup was an insult, and I was basically planning for divorce. Then she started crying and said I was humiliating her and that I was destroying everything we had built over money. But that's the thing, it's not just about the money. It's about the fact that she kept a massive amount of debt hidden until she had no choice but to tell me. And even then, she only told me because I pushed for it. That's not partnership, that's avoidance. So I told her I couldn't go through with it. I called off the wedding. It sucked. It still sucks. We told the venue, canceled what we could, and let people know. Her family is furious. Mine has been supportive but trying not to say I told you so. I've lost a lot of money. Deposits, suit, some family flying in from out of state. But honestly, that's nothing compared to what could have happened if I had ignored my gut. She moved out 2 days ago. We've barely spoken. I keep second-guessing myself, even now. I didn't want this, but I also don't want to wake up one day in financial ruin, wondering why I ignored every red flag just to avoid hurting someone. Anyway, thanks to everyone who gave advice or just listened. I'm heartbroken, yeah, but I feel like I did the right thing. Doesn't make it easy, just necessary. Not the a-hole. I'm glad you found out before you got married, and I'm more glad you didn't push on purely because you love her. She showed you clearly she cannot be trusted and finds no fault in lying to you. That all she was actually wanting was for you to be liable for her debts, and for her to get her hands on your savings so she can keep spending. Without respect, trust, and love, there can be no marriage. As hard as it is, she couldn't have loved you if she was happy to lie and trap you with her debt. I'm just glad you brought up the prenup, or you might never have discovered the truth. Yeah, for me, trust is the most fundamental thing in marriage. That's why I chose to let go. Dude, you did not throw away love for money. She did, and did that lightning fast. If you really want to know how she felt about you, this alone tells it all. She's clearly the one who wanted it to be a business transaction and got upset that it won't be happening. Wish OP had called her out on that, but oh well, at least it's over. You're materialistic. You're making everything about money, says the person with almost $100,000 of credit card debts, who wants OP's house and share of his savings. Of course, her family is upset. There goes their meal ticket too. Or at least there goes their fears of ending up having to pay off her debt themselves one day. 'Cause you know who she's gonna turn to when the debt collectors come knocking. To be fair to her family, It must be hard realizing that they have raised someone who is a liar, a deceiver, entirely self-interested, and financially incontinent. Much easier to blame the OP than blame his ex, or themselves. The fact that he implied she had the wherewithal to financially cover her debts, but chose to hide them until marriage, is a red flag if ever I saw one. So she was happy to con her soon-to-be husband into paying her debt, or she has been lying about how well she does from her and her friend's business venture. I'm glad he was able to get out with only some losses from the vendors, but I wonder what the "I told you so" from family members was all about. What else was wrong with this woman? I knew a woman who married a friend of my rat bastard of a then-husband too soon after a whirlwind courtship. During their honeymoon, he revealed that he had massive soul-crushing debt and that now half of it was hers. I don't think the marriage lasted a year. Next story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend after he skinny dipped in our pool with my sister at home? Hello Reddit. My boyfriend 31 male was home with my sister 19 female while I was out. When I got home, my sister was locked in the guest room and told me she had something to tell me. She had been staying over for a couple of days. She said that she looked out her room window and saw my boyfriend swimming naked in our backyard pool. She saw everything. Later, while she was in the kitchen, he walked in completely naked and she could see his junk. He stopped, said hi, and waved. She was shocked as he walked past her, went to his room to grab some clothes, and then walked naked through the hallway to the shower and had a long shower. She said she was frozen and embarrassed. After that, she went to her room and locked herself in until I got home. I confronted my boyfriend, and he just said that he felt like skinny dipping because it was hot out and that he lives there. So he thought it was fine. It's my house and he's living with me, and I told him he's a freaking creep. He didn't even apologize to my sister when she saw him. I broke up with him on the spot and told him to get the heck out. He said he could apologize now and that I shouldn't overreact, but I told him we are done. He wouldn't leave immediately, so I screamed in his face that I'd call my sister's boyfriend over and we'd see what he freaking does to him when he hears what happened. That's when he left. I made my sister promise me that next time she feels uncomfortable, she should tell me, her boyfriend, or someone right away. I told his friend what happened, and word spread. Now everyone thinks he's a freaking weirdo, and they stopped talking to him. He blew up my phone, and I just texted him that his actions have consequences. I told my sister's boyfriend, and he threatened my ex, saying he better not freaking go near him or my sister or he'd find out. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. It was more than just skinny dipping since he walked through the house naked. Even when he saw your sister, he didn't cover up or apologize. He knew exactly what he was doing. Don't forget, he stopped on his way to his room to greet her. Yeah, he definitely planned this. He's only angry because not only did it not work the way he wanted, but OP rightly broke up with him, and no one else wants to be around him. If some of his former friends have younger female relatives, sisters, cousins, etc., I wouldn't be surprised if one of the first things they did was find out if he acted inappropriately toward them. Sadly, I have a feeling he has. And if that's the case, the ex won't just have the sister's boyfriend to worry about. Not the a-hole. Doesn't sound like he skinny dips usually. Too much of a coincidence. The first time he felt like skinny dipping, your teenage sister was home, and you weren't. The pool could be accidental. But the walking around in the house in front of her? Pervert. He barely even uses our pool, and I've legit never seen him skinny dipping before. And he told me he did it before. I just didn't see or wasn't there. And I don't believe him, and I told him to GTFO. He was obviously trying to live out a porn scene fantasy. Good for you for getting rid of him, and showing your sister that you have her back. Also, good job warning others about his creepy actions. You may have helped someone else avoid something uncomfortable. Totally agree with you. The whole thing feels intentional, not some innocent mistake. OP did the right thing shutting it down and standing by her sister. More people need to take that kind of thing seriously. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my boyfriend children because he won't marry me? My boyfriend, 33 male, and I, 31 female, have been dating for 7 years. Early on, we talked about marriage, kids, a house, the whole shebang. I like kids, and I think I'd be a good mother. I'd like to have children, but I wouldn't be upset if I didn't have any. I'm happy with my life as it is, and I could be happy with children as well. My boyfriend has always dreamed of being a dad, and recently suggested that we're in the place to start trying for some. I was a little confused by this. I told him early on, within the first year, that I would never have children with a man I'm not married to. I feel like children are a much bigger commitment than marriage, so marriage should come first. Additionally, if a man doesn't love me and isn't committed enough to spending the rest of our lives together, I don't see why I would make the sacrifice of bearing his children. Maybe it's old-fashioned of me. I explained all of this to him once again. He was awkward and said he just doesn't want to get married. He said men get screwed over in divorces all the time, and he just doesn't think marriage is important or a smart choice. I said that's fine, we don't have to get married. I'm happy with our life as it is. We just won't be buying a house together or having children together. We can each buy our own house and live in one, and rent out the other. If we aren't getting married, I don't want to really entangle our finances in any way. He blew up at me and said, I'm punishing him for not wanting to marry me. I said I'm not, just that having children outside of marriage goes against my personal values. I also told him that since he's super against the idea of marriage, I am not going to marry him just for a shut-up ring, that he only gives me because he wants kids. I want him to actually want to marry me, and if not, that's okay. Children and marriage are off the table for us. If he wants kids now, he needs to leave me and find someone who will have kids for him without expecting any stability in return. And maybe I could find someone who wants to marry me, and maybe or maybe not have kids. I said all of this to him. He's been very distressed and emotionally distraught. He has a disease that very much limits his life expectancy. He has said that if he doesn't have kids ASAP, he probably shouldn't have them at all, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to see them into adulthood. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If he thinks men get screwed over in divorce, he should see how single women get screwed over with children. Please get some sort of birth control that cannot be tampered with. This. Women often end up being the primary caregivers after a divorce. But even if the couple agrees on joint custody, it's super common for a mother to have sacrificed years of her career to having and raising the children, which affects her finances and earning potential, not to mention all of the medical risks of pregnancy and the permanent physical changes. If he's not willing to take any risks with his finances, then it's completely unfair of him to expect you to risk both your finances and your health. He also has a disease that could potentially end his life earlier than usual, according to OP. So she gets to carry on his line without the commitment or legal stability and deal with pretty much being a single mom anyways because of his death. All the more reason to insist on marriage. If she's not his legal spouse, who makes his medical decisions if incapacitated? Is his mother going to inherit his share of the house and they get in a big legal battle to keep her kid's childhood home? Nah. Not the a-hole. He said men get screwed over in divorces all the time, and he just doesn't think marriage is important or a smart choice. Explain how women get screwed over all the time, having babies with men who won't commit. And you don't think having a baby with him would be a smart choice either. I was thinking the same exact thing. It's laughable that men get screwed over in divorce all the time. The number 1 or 2 most impoverished groups in America are single mothers. Some men love the idea of having children. They just don't seem to love the idea of actually raising them, paying for them, and loving them for 18+ years. By screwed over, does he mean forced to pay their fair share for the children they bring into this world and the lost income of their partners that grow a goddamn human being for them? Jesus, what a complete sense of entitlement. To expect a woman to risk her career, her health, and possibly her life to grow and deliver a human for you, without offering an ounce of stability or commitment. Maybe if he offered a legal and binding financial agreement, including paying for a reasonable life insurance policy, as well as a predetermined custodial agreement, I wouldn't think he's such a tool. His limited life expectancy makes the whole thing worse. I guess he will also expect her to be committed enough to care for him if his health declines as a result of his illness too. But no, marriage is too much of a commitment for him. It's fine if people want to partner and share life without a legal commitment, but screw any man that just likes the idea of using a woman as his personal human incubator, like she's a 7-Eleven. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend's family that I bought our house, not him? Original post. This whole thing started last month or so. I 27 female and my boyfriend, 26 male, who I will call Matt for privacy's sake, have been together for 6 years now. I'm the main breadwinner, and that has always been a struggle in our relationship. I would say he is pretty insecure about earning less than me. About a year ago, I finally saved up enough to purchase a house in a neighborhood I really liked. Up until then, Matt and I had been living in his apartment, which is cramped and not located in a nice area. Matt has never been too bothered about moving. He likes living in his apartment, and he doesn't mind living elsewhere, as long as he doesn't have to pay more than half. Knowing full well I could easily purchase the whole house, and it was a bargain for the area, I bit the bullet and bought it using all of my savings. When we moved in, Matt loved the place, and I thought everything was fine. Now this is the reason I'm posting on Reddit. 2 days ago, Matt and I were over at his mom's place for dinner. The conversation was going fine, until the topic of our house came up. My mother-in-law mentioned how proud she was of Matt for owning his own house at 26, which confused me, but I obviously didn't want to start anything at the dinner table. Then Matt's sister chimed in about how much of an achievement it was. Matt looked over at me, not saying anything. I'm not usually a petty or confrontational person, but something about the fact that I was the one who not only bought the house, but also paid the majority of the bills, and that Matt didn't even drop a dollar, really stuck with me. So I decided to say something. I asked Matt who really bought the house in front of everyone. I know it was a dick move, but honestly, I was so riled up by that stage. Matt said nothing, and then I announced to everyone that Matt didn't even contribute to buying the house. Immediately after saying that, I packed up my stuff and went home. I've been texting with Matt's sister, let's call her Kate, who seems to be on my side. Matt is staying with his mom right now, so I have the house all to myself. He hasn't contacted me yet, and I don't know whether it's worth breaking up over a lie like this. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. My experience is if you lie about the little things, you definitely gonna lie about the big and bigger things. Honestly, I don't think this is a little thing at all. This is a huge deception. That's what I was saying. Little thing? I don't think so. Not the a-hole. Matt is lazy and a liar and a freeloader. He had the audacity to tell his family he bought your house, knowing he did not contribute one black penny and doesn't even pay the bulk of the bills, and is sulking and hiding out at his mother's house and giving you the silent treatment because you called him out on his BS. You sound like an intelligent, ambitious, and hard-working woman. You can do a whole lot better than Matt the Mooch Man-child. This gave me a good laugh. Yeah, you should get Kate to come and get her brother's things and drop them off at their mom's. Not the a-hole. The fact that he said nothing actually speaks volumes. He wanted to look like a big man while riding his girlfriend's coattails. As for the breaking up part, I think would depend on what he actually told his family. Did they assume he contributed, or did he tell them he did? If he told them he did, he's stealing your valor. Get him out. Kate told me he said he contributed. Tomorrow I'm contacting him to see where this all goes. See, I knew he was a liar. I thought he lied by omission, but he actually bold-faced lied that he contributed, and has the audacity to give you the silent treatment and hide away at his mom's house. What the heck? Now for the update. Hi Reddit, I'm back. Last night I posted on here and it kind of blew up. So, some stuff happened today. Matt came back to the house. I assumed he was coming back to get his things and leave, but I was unfortunately very wrong. He literally told me he could forgive me and that he was moving back in, as if that was a good thing. I was so shocked, but he was dead serious. So, as any sane person would do, I grabbed all his remaining stuff, gave it to him, and told him to GTFO. He got really mad at that, and I was worried he would get aggressive, so I called Kate, his sister, for backup. She was really helpful and drove Matt home. As soon as I can, I'm changing the locks. As for some of the comments, I pay the mortgage, and I don't even think Matt knows what a mortgage is. I live in Canada, so I'm not sure if I have legal rights to kick him out. He has stayed with me just over a year. I'm trying to seek some legal advice. Thank you all for your help, and I'll try to update if I can. It's very dangerous how easily he lied about this. You deserve so much better than this loser. You need to change all the locks, install a security system and cameras. Totally agree. Protecting yourself is a must. Trust your instincts and stay safe. He could forgive her. What a freaking tool bag. Yeah, don't trust him. You're doing the right thing. Change the locks ASAP. Since you're in Canada and he wasn't on the lease or mortgage, he's likely not a tenant, so you can make him leave, but check with a local lawyer to be safe. Document everything, especially any threats or aggressive behavior. You're protecting your home and peace. Stay firm. That is absolutely not how it works. He was allowed to live there and hence he is a tenant at will. OP needs to formally evict him. Changing the locks is a very bad move, and OP could end up in a world of trouble if her ex wanted to litigate it. Thank you for the advice. Haven't changed locks yet, and not sure about the certain laws in my area. As far as I'm aware, Matt isn't the kind to go through legal drama, but I'm talking to a lawyer about it anyways. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for demanding to go through my brother-in-law and his girlfriend's bags if they are staying with us? Original post. Background. I have a pretty severe dairy allergy. I break out in hives, struggle to breathe, and have to carry 2 EpiPens with me everywhere. If I get any dairy in my system, I'll end up in the ER. My in-laws know this and have been extremely accommodating since my fiancé and I started dating 5 years ago. When we moved in together 2 years ago, we set strict rules for our home because of my allergy. The big one is that no one is allowed to bring anything that contains dairy into our house ever, no matter what. On to the current story. My brother-in-law started dating his girlfriend a year and a half ago. They came to visit us together for the first time a year ago. My fiancé made sure my brother-in-law explained my allergy to his girlfriend and our no dairy rule. 2 days into their stay, she bought dairy products and cooked lunch for herself when we weren't home. I ended up in the ER because of cross-contamination. She apologized and explained she hadn't understood how serious my allergy was. We managed to put the situation behind us since both my fiancé and I currently have, and want to keep, a good relationship with my brother-in-law. The 2 of them came for a second visit 9 months ago. We had a video call with brother-in-law and his girlfriend before the trip to make sure she understood the severity of my allergy and how serious we are about the no dairy rule. During their second trip, I was taking out the trash and found a candy bar wrappers and an empty milkshake container in the guest room trash, the room she was staying in. Even after she saw how serious my allergy is and how I ended up in the ER, she still brought dairy into our house. I confronted her when they got back. She and brother-in-law had a huge fight. Brother-in-law went through her stuff and threw out everything she had with dairy, and we kicked out his girlfriend. Brother-in-law stayed for the rest of the planned trip. Brother-in-law and his girlfriend worked out the relationship after the trip and are still together. Since their second trip, brother-in-law has come alone since I don't trust his girlfriend in our house. Well, brother-in-law is planning a new trip to visit us, and his girlfriend wants to come too. At first, we just said no. We don't trust her. But since we know this is important to brother-in-law, we came up with what we believe is a good compromise. She can come and stay at our place, but we will look through her bags every time she comes back to our place. And if she doesn't accept that, she can stay at a hotel or stay home. Now I am being called an a-hole for treating her like a criminal, and that checking her bag is an invasion of privacy. So, Am I the a-hole for demanding to go through her bag if she is staying at my house? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. She's had 2 strikes, and she still couldn't comprehend what she was doing was wrong. If she continues to push back, just tell her, okay, find somewhere else to stay. I've been down this path with you twice before, and ended up in the ER. You have intentionally endangered me twice. I'm not willing to risk a 3rd occurrence. Agree. Also, OP, you say you want to keep on good terms, but she ruined that by disrespecting you and calling you names. I wouldn't have her back in my home. Dude, why are you letting her back in? You trying to die? Of course you're not the a-hole. Seriously, do hotels not exist where OP is? I would never let that woman into my home again. Not the a-hole, but I would just tell her to stay elsewhere. The medical bills aren't worth this mess, and she's proven twice she doesn't listen. Now for the first update. I didn't plan on writing an update, especially not so soon, but a lot has happened in just one day. But first, I want to clear up some misconceptions around their second visit to our home. I did not get sick from brother-in-law's girlfriend having candy bars and a milkshake cup in the trash, or some candy bars in her bag. That wasn't the problem. The issue was that, while knowing our no dairy house rule, having not only seen but also been responsible for me going into anaphylactic shock, and having gotten an in-depth explanation of my allergy and why it is important to us to keep our home dairy free, she still brought my known allergen into my house, my safe space. That is why we fought with her and kicked her out of our house. On to the update. After the first 500 or so comments telling me I am an idiot for even considering letting this woman, who is a danger to my health, back into my house, I realized I was listening way too much to the part of me that just wanted to keep the peace and was downplaying the seriousness of the past incidents in my mind. I kept thinking the first time she might not have known how serious my allergy was, and it was an accident. And since I didn't get sick the second time she brought dairy into my home, I was exaggerating how bad it was. I know it sounds insane, but after dealing with people who don't take allergies seriously for years, I've gotten used to apologizing and even downplaying my allergy to others. I sat down with my fiancé and discussed the whole situation. He explained how he also doesn't want brother-in-law's girlfriend back in our home, but since I was willing to give her another chance, and it was my health affected by her previous actions, he felt I should make the final decision. He ended up texting brother-in-law to tell him our original no answer stands, that he is welcome to stay with us, but she is not allowed in our house, especially since she hasn't even apologized for breaking our rule again after she sent me to the ER the first time they visited. And I'm his family, and my health and well-being are more important to him than brother-in-law visiting. I wasn't here for this part, but this is what my fiancé told me happened. After he sent that message, brother-in-law called him, and they talked. Turns out brother-in-law's girlfriend had told him that she reached out after their second trip, that we talked, and I forgave her, but wasn't ready to have her back in my house yet. She has asked him to come with him every time he has visited us. Brother-in-law always told her no, and that she would only be allowed to come with when I told him I was ready to have her back in my house. He only asked if she could come since it had been 9 months. And as far as he knew, I had forgiven her. According to my fiancé, brother-in-law was extremely apologetic. I haven't had time to talk directly with him yet, but we've planned a video chat to get everything worked out tomorrow. The reason my brother-in-law didn't ask me directly about the situation and believed his girlfriend is because he is aware of how traumatic an allergic reaction is for me, and that I hate to talk about it afterward since I cannot stand to relive the situation. I swear, why do people always lie about stuff like this? Do they really think it's not going to come out? I mean, it nearly worked. If OP didn't have hundreds of strangers screeching about how awful the situation is, she would even have allowed her back. Spot on. Most people will avoid conflict exactly like OP almost did, even if it costs them dearly. Not some, most. People putting their foot down the first time and not repeating themselves is far and away the minority of responses. I challenge anyone who thinks otherwise to reflect on a time they did something for someone they didn't want to do it for or didn't deserve it. I feel like most will immediately see a correlation. So wait, did she actually talk to you and you forgave her? Or did she lie about it? She lied. I hadn't talked to her since throwing her out before she texted me calling me an a-hole for the search if she was to stay in my house, which she absolutely won't be doing now. I read your post yesterday, and that's exactly what I thought happened. It's bizarre that she wants to stay so badly after dissing you like that, and even more bizarre to lie about all of it to stay with you again. By the way, I get it. I have an anaphylactic allergy to mushrooms. I would never let her in the house again either. Now for the last update. So, I have talked to my brother-in-law. We had a long and emotional conversation. I won't post it all here, since some of the stuff we discussed is personal, but I still wanted to update you guys. To start, brother-in-law kept apologizing and saying he should have checked with us, not just believed his girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend. He went on to explain that the reason he wanted to talk with me today, instead of yesterday after the call with my fiancé, was because he felt like he had already failed us by believing his girlfriend. We do not agree with this at all and do not blame him. So, he wanted to show he truly is remorseful for everything that has happened, not just say the words, but show it through actions. After the call with my fiancé, he confronted his ex. At first, she tried to convince him that I was lying and trying to ruin their relationship. That didn't work, so she tried to manipulate him with tears. Brother-in-law explained that now that he has fully seen all of her crazy behavior, he immediately recognized how manipulative she is. A lot more happened, but I won't go into detail since it isn't my story to tell, but my brother-in-law's. The end result is that he broke up with her. He also told us more that we didn't know, including that they had actually broken up after the second time they visited us. He didn't want to be with someone who clearly didn't care about the people in his life and was willing to put someone in danger. He explained they were broken up for about 2 months and only got back together after she sent him a message saying she had reached out to me and that we had worked things out because she felt awful but didn't expect anything from him. Now it's clear that it was just manipulation to get back together with him. Another thing we didn't know is that brother-in-law hasn't been happy where he currently lives for the last year or so, and one of the reasons he often comes to visit us is because he has been considering moving to our area. So, I have a feeling she has been doing all the crazy stuff in hopes that we would blame brother-in-law, and if we were mad or low contact with him, he would move. More manipulation. I wouldn't put it past her. Brother-in-law also sent out a message to their extended family explaining the whole situation in case she reaches out to the family. This way, I won't have to relive the trauma surrounding an allergic reaction to explain what's been going on. I also told brother-in-law and my fiancé about what it's like for me to have a serious allergic reaction for the first time, what it feels like, and the absolute horror I go through. That was definitely the hardest part of the conversation for me. Neither my fiancé nor I blame brother-in-law. The way I see it, he is a good guy who sees the best in people and who has been manipulated by his ex. He is still more than welcome to stay with us, and with everything he told us about how he has been feeling lately, we are excited to have him stay with us and hopefully be able to help him out with everything going on. A lot more was said and talked about, but I think these are the important parts for the update. If I've forgotten anything, I will add an edit here. Also, thank you to everyone who commented and helped me with the situation. Hopefully this is the last part, and we can go back to focusing on our wedding. You said that your brother-in-law still feels as if he did something wrong, but you don't think he did. Why don't you invite him for an extended visit so that he can look for a job in your area as he plans to? That way he will know for sure that you trust him, and he will also be far away from Psycho Girl. He is invited to stay with us for a while. He is currently looking for flights sometime in the next 2 weeks.